All right, hi listeners. Welcome to episode 3 of The Miners. We'll be talking about Gladiators today. And as the show The Miners, if you've been watching and this is your third episode, we're not going to really focus on Maximus, which is the main character played by Russell Crowe.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
But we're going to focus on kind of the secondary characters and some secondary plot elements that we caught while we watched the movie again. So obviously in this episode, we'll be talking about Joaquin Phoenix, who plays Commodus, the evil emperor, who I think is a tremendous villain, but I think Eric thinks otherwise. We're talking about Proximo, Maximus's slave owner, for about half the movie. And we'll be talking about some other figures. But that's kind of the stream we're going on. We'll see where this goes. So as I've done with the other 2 episodes, I'm going to go ahead here and ask Eric, who fortunately is now in Singapore and has real internet. And I want to ask him, when you watched it again, what did you think about it after so many years?
So, yeah, I haven't seen it in a while. And in the first 2 podcasts, when you threw it over to me for my thoughts, I just kind of said that I still love the movie as much as always. I think I'd seen this one, let's say, around the same amount of times as The Fugitive. We're saying maybe like 20 times, not the 100 plus of Die Hard.
500.
And, yeah, although I've seen the battles more. I definitely edited a DVD back in college of just the battle scenes. So I've probably seen the battle scenes about 40 times. But what I was thinking when I was watching it is that I was pretty excited for doing Gladiator. Really, to me, it was just all about Maximus.
The movie is all about Maximus.
Yes, I loved Maximus, and I watched it, and I was like, Maximus is awesome. Multiple times in the movie, I got chills from things Maximus did. He has, I think every good line comes from Maximus, and it's just his story. And I was watching, I was like, but this podcast is about the miners, and I didn't think there were any other good characters.
I can't even remotely agree with you. We're so far apart on this, it's not even funny.
Oh, okay, so that's good. So give me who you think are the other good characters, because anytime Maximus wasn't on screen, I was just waiting for him to get back.
Commodus is an unbelievable villain. It's incredible. He's like Billy Zane in Titanic on steroids. He's just a guy that's such a pathetic douchebag, and he just does such evil and petty shit. When Billy Zane at the end of the Titanic picks up a little girl so he can get on the lifeboat? What are the odds that Commodus does that? 100%? 130%? Commodus would be doing everything that Billy Zane does in Titanic. And Billy Zane is a fantastic villain. You hate his guts.
Listen to your friend Billy Zane. He's a cool dude.
You hate Billy Zane. And there's a whole creepy thing with Commodus's, or Joaquin Phoenix's, the actor, Commodus's sister, where he's trying to bone her the entire movie. I can't watch this movie. I have 2 sisters. I can't watch it with them. It's too uncomfortable.
Wait, just on that, the creepiest thing that he does to his sister the whole movie is when he sticks his fingers in her mouth.
Yes! It's disgusting!
If they were just all out fucking, it wouldn't be as creepy as him sticking his fingers in her mouth like that.
No, but I thought, my instinct was that Ridley Scott didn't have the balls to go full incest. I think it made him uncomfortable. But you're saying that the hand in the mouth is even worse than incest.
Yeah, it was so creepy. Game of Thrones incest didn't even creep me out.
Yeah, no,
as
that's
much
what I mean.
As the fingers in the mouth scene in Gladiator.
Here's the other thing about Commodus. He's so pathetic, which makes him such a great character. He's like Fredo. He's just pathetic.
And also, actually, his sister is not down. At least in Game of Thrones, they're both down.
If you think about it, if both siblings are down, you think that makes it more creepy because it actually happens. But after watching Gladiator, where one party is not a willing party to it, it makes it much creepier. Dude, what about the end part where after he captures everybody and kills this rebellion, he says to his sisters, now that you've fucked with me, you're gonna give me a pure blood kid. I mean, this is pure evil, man. I don't know how this is not attractive in the sense that he's a good villain. He's clearly a memorable villain. He's pathetic and he's trying to rape his own sister.
I'll give you that he's pathetic and that he is trying to rape his own sister. And that's pretty hideous qualities. But when I was watching the movie, I didn't even remember his name until you just said it before, Commodus. Like, I just felt like I was watching Joaquin Phoenix.
What, just being himself?
Just being like a sniveling little baby, yeah.
You want to know what you said that you thought Maximus had all the good quotes? Again, I couldn't disagree with you more, because I think my favorite quote from the movie is when Commodus, or Joaquin Phoenix's character, rolls up to the battle at the beginning of the movie and goes, Did I miss the war? What? Yeah, this is complete douchebag. So the war's been going on for 3 weeks, and he just shows up on the last day. And he rolls in, everybody's like, there's a standing ovation for Maximus, and he rolls in with probably the best, douchiest line ever. Hey, guys!
Have I missed it? Have I missed the battle?
You want to know what that's like when Commodus comes in and says, did I miss the war? After the war was clearly over? It's like when you ask a friend to move, you call like 5 friends when you're moving houses, right? And you know that 1 or 2 of them is just going to bail on you. Or if they don't bail, they're going to show up like 5 hours after you told them to show up. So you'd be like, yo man, I'm moving at noon. Could you come by around 1 and just help me move stuff? And then he'll come at like 5. Everything's moved. And he'll be like, hey, I'm here, man. Is there anything left for me to move? Grabs a beer. He grabs like one of the chairs. I'm like, oh, thanks, dude. You're supposed to be here 5 hours ago. Commodus was supposed to be there 3 weeks ago, and he shows up at the end of the war. What a loser.
Yeah, actually, there was one line that I actually laughed when he said it. After one of the battles that Russell Crowe fought, and he was sitting there and he was upset, and he just goes, I'm vexed. I'm terribly vexed.
It vexes me. I'm terribly vexed.
Well, like, why do you love him so much?
Yeah, but he was just... The way he said it was so funny. He was just so... It was really, pathetic. But that's kind of why I don't like him, I guess. Because I like a villain that is strong or smart or something. Like we did on the first week, Die Hard. We had Hans Gruber. That was a real villain. And then even Tommy Lee in The Fugitive was so smart that Harrison Ford couldn't stay ahead of him. Like whatever you did, you knew this guy was going to be there. And it seemed to me like Commodus is just stupid. How easy would it have been for him to win this battle again in the story of the movie? For him to win this movie against Maximus? He was the fucking emperor. He could have killed him at any time. He could have just killed the guy. Him challenging Maximus, this did bother me. It was a movie issue. Him challenging Maximus is so unbelievable to me. It would be like me challenging LeBron James on a one-on-one game for my life. and I sprained his ankle or gave him plantar fasciitis, that stupid foot injury that everybody gets nowadays. What bothered me about this one-on-one match too was like, okay, fine. You're going to fight Maximus one-on-one for the Empire, because now you want the people to know that you're better than him. Don't just stab him in the side and conceal the wound.
Strap on his armor. Conceal the wound.
Cut his fucking leg off, man, and then tell him to conceal the wound. Do something with... Can you imagine if he's like, cut his foot off, conceal the wound? Take a limb off, conceal the wound.
Yeah, he made so many bad choices here. If I walked down the first time after the first battle and I saw him, I would have just fucking killed him. He ended up dying because he was so upset about people booing. They'll forget about it. Kill the fucking Spaniard the first time you see him, and the crowd, as they keep saying the crowd is fickle and stuff like that, they'll fucking forget about it. You just gave them 100 days of games. If they keep booing, you say, I'll take away your fucking games.
You want to know why they'll get over it? Because, and I didn't realize this the first 30 times I watched the movie, there's like some serious like political machinations going on here. He had substituted, like you said, the 100 days of the games for like a year's worth of grain to feed the population. They got bigger issues to fry than whether or not Maximus is going to be alive. Like, these people are going to be hungry.
Wait, and the thing is, though, what was that? That was the Battle of Carthage or something, right? And
which he didn't even know who won it.
No, but also the barbarians weren't supposed to win. He could have literally just walked down and chopped Maximus's head off and turned to the crowd and been like, he was a barbarian. They lost.
History's been rectified.
Yeah.
Listen, just because somebody's pathetic doesn't make him a bad villain. I mean...
No, okay, no, pathetic is fine. but he was stupid. He should have killed Maximus the first time he saw him. He should have killed Maximus when they gave him a bowl of soup that wasn't poisoned. Like, it just should have been fucking poisoned. Why wasn't it?
Just poison him.
When he should have killed Maximus when he set him up against a bigger gladiator, and after that, and really for the last hour and a half of the movie, he could have just killed Maximus at any point and then continued to live and be the emperor forever. And people would have gotten over it. Or they wouldn't have even known. Oh, Maximus died in his cell. Like, who the fuck would have known?
It was like an extended, like, it's like in Austin Powers when Dr. Evil's son's trying to convince him just to shoot Austin Powers in the head.
They could get away.
No. I'm going to leave them alone and not actually witness them dying. I'm just going to assume it all went to plan. What?
I have a gun in my room. You give me 5 seconds, I'll get it. I'll come back down here. Boom! I'll blow their brains out.
It was like an hour and a half of Seth Green explaining to Dr. Evil, his father, how he should just kill Austin Powers right now and just get it over with.
Yeah, okay, so going with that, that's what bothered me. I agree that Joaquin Phoenix is perfectly hateable and pathetic and everything for a villain, but he was so fucking stupid that I couldn't get over it. Every time he was on screen, I was just like, do something about it. Stop whining like a little bitch. Like, they love him, so fucking kill him.
Just kill him.
You're the emperor. It really, that's what killed me. I just felt like he was so stupid that it was not really even such a worthy opponent because he couldn't do anything. He was incompetent. I like a villain who's competent, like Tommy Lee in Fugitive. Wasn't really the villain, but the antagonist was always one step ahead. You couldn't outsmart this guy. Whereas Commodus is just the most pathetic creature ever.
I also give you credence on that because even Billy Zane in Titanic, who is always my doppelganger for Commodus / Joaquin Phoenix for Gladiator, like I always compare those two when I'm thinking about it. Billy Zane actually uses the advantages he has, like being, super wealthy on the boat, has all these minions like protecting him. He uses them and sicks them on Leo. But here's the you're completely right about this. And you know what? You made me think about it, and I'm going to bring up this point. Has an emperor ever used his powers less and complained more about it? Commodus could bone anybody he wants in the entire Roman Empire. And he can't get over the fact that he wants to bone his sister.
Oh, man.
There is not a single other girl in his presence. He can bone anybody he wants in the entire Roman Empire. I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of beautiful women that would be all over his D, and there's nobody in the movie other than his sister. Pathetic. Completely not using his advantages as an emperor.
And he could hire any man in the empire to kill Maximus and decides to do it himself.
Listen, if you're just a lazy prick, okay, I get it. You want to be a lazy prick and be an emperor? Have a harem of 50 women. Have some Egyptian whores. Have some Italian whores. Have some barbarian whores. And then you have your powers as an emperor to kill people. Use those, and you can just chill and get grapes fed to you for the rest of your life. Quit bitching.
And now they love Maximus for his mercy. So I can't just kill him or it makes me even more unmerciful. The whole thing's like some crazy nightmare.
He could take a lesson from Kim Jong-il.
Yes!
Or the new one, Kim Jong-un. That guy would have gone down into the dungeon where they were keeping Maximus before the final fight, slit his fucking throat, killed him on the spot, walked out into the arena, and just announced to everybody that Maximus was too afraid to fight him, so Maximus killed himself. And I'm the champion by default.
Game over!
And then just build a legend about himself that even the General Maximus is scared to fight him, Some shit like that.
Well, it's like during the Olympics, or during the World Cup on North Korean television, it was like being broadcasted and North Korea beat Brazil 10-0 and that they're World Cup champions. And then the country was like eating it up.
You know why? Because he controls the media.
Exactly!
What did they have in media then? Just spread the word. Build your own legend. Don't fucking walk out into the middle of the arena and get your ass kicked.
You know what? You've actually convinced me that Commodus is so pathetic. He's not worthy of me liking him because it's just I can't forgive how little he's used these powers. I'm kind of pissed off now. I didn't think about like it's unconscionable to be that self-loathing and just insecure that you just completely don't use these emperor privileges. It's inexcusable, man.
Well, I know, but I think we should separate it because the thing is, all the self-loathing and the patheticness and all of that, I think is okay because it all makes him really hateable, you know? And that's why you hate him. It's just the other part of total incompetence that is unforgivable.
Dude, I'm done with Commodus. Let's move on from this loser.
All right, who else do you got?
I liked Proximo, man. I don't know how you didn't like him. The slave owner. The slave owner that bought Maximus and then carried him from, I guess, North Africa to Rome. I thought he was a good character.
I had a couple issues here too. First of all, where did Maximus live? He was in North Africa. That's where his house was.
Oh no, you're right. It must have been Spain, right? He's the Spaniard.
How did he become a slave? They just found him.
They found him. Yeah.
It's just finders keepers. Like you're mine.
Clearly he was in prison and then sold as chattel.
He wasn't in prison.
No, he was.
They found him.
He was sold to Proximo at a market.
Okay, even the guy who found him though, they just found a guy at his own home, right? That was burned down. He made it to his own home, and his wife and kid were dead.
And he was passed out on the road, and they're like, "Oh, look, this guy is clearly not a citizen. He's a slave." Literally, no, it was. They went to the marketplace.
He was still in his general's gear at that time. He came straight from the Roman Empire. So they basically were like, we found a guy. We're just keeping him.
That's exactly what happened. Because Proximo had 2 giraffes that didn't fuck.
Those giraffes you sold me, they won't mate. They just walk around eating and not mating.
Okay, so yeah, so somebody just found Maximus. Like, I guess you can just walk around and throw handcuffs on somebody and be like, you're mine now. That's how the Roman Empire worked, apparently. Took him as a slave, sold him in a bargain for the gay giraffes.
Yeah.
Proximo, right? Because Proximo was pretty pissed, right? He was a real hard ass. He grabbed the guy's nuts.
No, he said, my giraffes are not banging. Why are my... Did you see there's a shot of the giraffes? There's like a 1-second shot of giraffes. It's hilarious.
No, I didn't see the giraffes.
Yeah, so they show the giraffes that aren't banging each other. It's fantastic. Anyways, go on.
Okay, so then he buys Maximus.
Yes.
So now he owns Maximus.
Correct.
And then he keeps giving these big speeches about win the crowd and you'll win your freedom. What the fuck does the crowd have to do with it? I don't even understand the whole dynamic about how he has to win the crowd or the emperor give him freedom or anything like that. Because Proximo fucking owns him. And he bought him for a pair of gay giraffes. It's clearly not a high price. If he could have doubled his price on this by getting maybe all Maximus needs to give this guy is a pair of giraffes that fuck. Like, get the queen to give this guy some giraffes that fuck and he'll probably let him go. That's a good trade. Yeah. So the whole thing about like how he was acting like he was helping him and training him how to earn his freedom and all that shit. I was just kind of like, what an asshole.
Dude, you know what, man? Like, I don't want to be like IMDb guy, but it's such an enormous plot hole. He could have just been let free. The queen could have just told the fucking guy. I know at first that Maximus wasn't cool with it because he thought the queen was complicit in his family's murder. But the queen literally could have just said, I want you to free this slave. That's the end. And he could have gone forth with the uprising.
Yeah, because even if the emperor wanted him as a slave, which is another thing, couldn't the emperor which is Commodus, have just taken the slave, be like, that's my slave now. And he could have just taken Maximus and put him in chains in his own house and been like, you're now my own bitch and feed me dinner. Like, he could have stolen the slave. So even if the emperor, and the thing is, like, yeah, it's ridiculous to get into plot holes about Gladiator, because that's not what this movie is about. I'm not trying to go into plot holes. I'm just trying to go into why Maximus is the only character I liked. And that's the reason I didn't like Proximo, because I thought he was full of shit in the way that he was talking. And I was like, you're acting like a nice guy, and you're not a fucking nice guy, because after one battle, this guy made you money. You should let him go.
The other reason I kind of liked him is he had an insult that I thought was incredible. He said something along the lines of, you might as well be a eunuch. And eunuch might be the greatest insult ever to call somebody.
Who does he call that to? I don't remember.
I can't remember what it was, right? And like, so I had to Wikipedia eunuch. I mean, I kind of knew that it meant you didn't have a dick anymore. I don't understand how eunuch came out of favor as an insult, because it's pretty formidable to call somebody a eunuch. No, but dude, this was but I thought I read about it. The rationale behind a eunuch is insane.
They did it so that they couldn't impregnate the queen, right?
Yeah, or anybody else in the court. It was genius.
Why didn't he cut off Maximus's dick?
Make him a
Why
eunuch?
did Commodus do that? Yeah. Why did he stab him in the stomach instead of
he
cutting
should
his
have
dick off?
made him a eunuch and then been like, conceal the wound. He should have cut his dick off, conceal the wound.
Because then the legend will be ruined anyway. You know, everyone at the end of the movie loved Maximus, but if Commodus came out with Maximus's dick in his hand, it would have
been over.
Around, I mean, that'll taint the legend.
And that's one of the reasons why he was jealous of Maximus, because Maximus and his sister, the queen, had a thing. So he could have really stuck it to Maximus by cutting his dick off out of jealousy.
Yeah. And
think about that.
Just to talk about that little thing, because that is so weird, though. And I was wondering, like, what went on here? That Maximus was fucking, or used to fuck, Commodus's sister and basically girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like it was not bad enough that the hero was fucking the villain's sister or girlfriend in the past, but they were like, you know what would be better? Plenty of movies have done fucking the sister. Plenty of movies have done fucking the girlfriend. What if he fucked both? And then someone else was probably like, I got it. It's the same person.
Dude, you actually know, I mean, I it's so true, because like I have two sisters and I know that feeling when like you think one of your friends is trying to wheel your sister and like you're not 100% cool with it. Now multiply that by like 1,000. And then you have what's going on with Commodus. And this love triangle between Commodus, Maximus, and the Queen, it's like pretty epic.
Yeah. And that is just the unluckiest turn of events for Maximus.
Yeah.
That suddenly Commodus wants to fuck his own sister?
Oh my, I can't even talk about it. Dude, I'm done with this topic, man. I'm done with Commodus. I'm done with the Queen. This is way too much is going on with this. Listen, we're done with Proximo. I'm done with Proximo. I thought he was a good... You know what the other line with Proximo was? I know I'm jumping all over the place. I like the line, the exchange, and it's from Maximus. And for some reason, when the last word Maximus says to Proximo before Proximo gets killed is...
Are you in danger of becoming a good man?
I thought that was just a beautiful way to seal up their relationship. And I thought that's why I liked him as a character, because I thought
but that's Maximus's line.
I understand that, but it's important.
That's my point, though. Every good line comes from Maximus.
But the character, he did go through that change. He turned into a good guy. You said he was such a piece of shit. Although, I granted, it was too little, too late, kind of.
Yeah. Way too little, way too fucking late.
How incompetent was that fucking plan, man? Jesus Christ.
Everything that happened in this movie, other than Maximus just going fucking ham on people, was total incompetence.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
It's true. I completely agree with you, man. Okay, so Proximo's out. I still think he's legit. You don't. You convinced me on Commodus. He's a nutbag, a nutsack, a chode that doesn't deserve any like from me. Let's talk about the third guy. And this, for the listeners, this might be a real minor, but it's the character of Quintus. And Quintus is another Roman general, and he's a Roman general that immediately switches sides when it becomes evident that Maximus is no longer going to be the next emperor of Rome. So the line that I think will draw people's memory is he's the one that says, "Sheathe your swords" in the last fight scene.
Sheathe your sword! Sheathe your sword!
When Commodus, or Joaquin Phoenix's character, loses his sword and tries to get a new one, all of a sudden Quintus has switched back to Maximus and tells all the Roman guards, "Sheathe your swords! Don't give this guy a sword!" Literally 30 seconds earlier, he had tossed Maximus's sword like 30 feet from Maximus, so Maximus had to pick it up himself.
Is he also the one who covered the wound? Was he in the dungeon
Yes!
covering the wound?
He's the guy that covered the wound.
Yeah.
So this character, the reason why I found him so or interesting or minor worthy is that he is such a piece of shit. And he gets away at the end scot-free. Scot-free. He completely sells Maximus down the river. And then, I guess, within 2 seconds of seeing the fight, he's like, I don't think Commodus is going to win this one. And he just switches right over to Maximus.
I love that this guy, it was pretty much one of the opening scenes where he sells out Maximus and goes with the Emperor.
Yes!
And then, not until all the way at the end, in the very last scene, does he decide that he has enough courage to actually back what's right and back Maximus, right?
Sheathe your swords! Sheathe your swords!
So, it takes this guy a 3-hour movie to gain the courage to finally stand up to the Emperor, right? And he yells, "Sheathe your swords." And then, in the next cut, Maximus drops his own sword and starts seeing, like, visions of the afterlife.
Yeah,
right?
Elysium.
Maximus is on his fucking deathbed. And at that point, I was just, like, watching, it was like, show Quintus. Show Quintus! It took him 3 fucking hours to get the courage to back Maximus. And then, as soon as he does, Maximus just stumbles and is about to die. And what do you think Quintus was doing? Quintus was like, "Hey, Commodus, I was just fucking around. Like,
yeah,
I didn't really. Here's a sword. Have a sword."
You're totally right.
You know, like, how quick did he backtrack?
If you were, dude, that's so true. If they were being honest with this character, as soon as he saw Maximus drop his sword, he would have picked up the sword or taken one and given it to Commodus. He's like, "Here, take it. Finish the job." Unsheathe your swords. Unsheathe them. You know what? Here, let's talk about the Roman Empire, actually, because this is something I want to talk about regarding the fact that I've spoken to a number of people. They'll watch Gladiator or they'll watch, like, some movie about, you know, Roman times and be like, "Man, wouldn't it be sweet to live during Roman times?" And I literally just shake my head. I'm like, "No, there's no chance I would want to live in Rome."
Yeah, if you fucking fall asleep on your own lawn, somebody might take you as a goddamn slave. Like, that's all that happened to the main character here. How could you possibly watch that and think, seems like a good place to live?
Imagine, you have a siesta on your front yard.
Yeah,
when you
in a
wake
hammock.
up.
You're just hanging out in a hammock, and you fucking wake up, traded for a pair of queer giraffes, and now you have to fight in the Colosseum.
Actually, one minor character that I want to talk about, maybe if we can talk about it for like a minute, was the freaking soundtrack for this movie. I think it's Hans Zimmerman. I'm pretty sure it's either Hans Zimmerman or John Williams. Either one of those two guys make all the good soundtracks. How good was this soundtrack?
Yeah, they killed it with that. And I think that's what I'm saying. Like, as much as I've been ripping on the movie through this podcast, I still loved it. And there were actually more points in the movie where I got chills than in any movie I can remember recently. And it basically happened. There's 5 major battles. The first one's the opening one against Germania. Not really that great. And then the last one doesn't do it for me at all against Commodus. Basically, the whole last 30 minutes of the movie, I'm not really into.
Yeah.
But those 3 big battles in the middle, before and after each battle.
Chills.
The chills before and after. And it's because the character of Maximus is awesome. He has an awesome line in each one of those places, and they kill it with the music also. The music was a big part of it, and I loved it. I mean, I loved that character. I loved the hero's story. The guy who was just down and out and came back and fucking kicked ass. And he wasn't a huge dude, but he got the respect of a huge guy, like the leader always does. Like Caesar in Planet of the Apes gets a gorilla.
Yeah.
This guy got the fucking guy who looked like Howie Long.
Yeah. Dude, the soundtrack is so good that it's definitely my gym music, and I think I'm Maximus when I'm doing bench presses. It's 100% the music I have on my iPod. Okay, so we've established that the music is probably the greatest minor character in the movie. So I want to transition into the quotes, but I know you got more to talk about, so
yeah, let me give
next.
you something. Let's see what I got here. Okay, a minor thing. When one of the times when Joaquin Phoenix was terribly vexed was when he's like, they lied to me. They told me he was dead and they lied to me about Maximus. And I was thinking, I was like, who fucking told you he was dead? He killed every single person in the brigade that brought him there. They brought him into the forest and he slaughtered everybody, single fucking guy, right? He caught a sword with his bare hands, right? A sword that's made to like behead people. And he just clamped it with his hands, picked it up by the blade, and knocked the guy out with it. Like, try even doing that with a steak knife, and you'll slice open your fucking hand. He did it with, 50-pound sword, killed everybody in the entire group. Why did they think he was dead? Nobody made it back. If nobody makes it back, nobody made it back to lie and say he was dead. Nobody made it back at all. If you send 7 guys out to kill somebody and none of them come back, you might get suspicious.
Odds are.
Yeah. So he was terribly vexed about that, and I was just like, maybe you shouldn't be.
I want to talk about that scene really quickly, is that, you know how Maximus sets it up? He's like, give me a soldier's death, so the guy's going to stab him from the back. How risky is the move that he pulls, where he just shoots his head up and headbutts the guy? The odds of catching the sword are enormous. It's such a ballsy move. I mean, he doesn't have a choice.
His entire story is just full of ballsy moves. I mean,
that's true.
That's kind of all this guy does. It's just ballsy move after ballsy move. And that's kind of what, also, I wish at the end I wish he did something really ballsy that killed him. I hate that he just gets he dies from the weak stab wound,
Yeah.
I wish he went out better. And then, so then there's a few other things like that I wanted to talk about, which was when I first saw this movie, and I feel like when you first saw this movie, probably loved it way more than I did. I first saw it, Braveheart came out when I was, 13. But I feel like a lot of things in the story were a little bit diluted from what Braveheart had. Like the love story, they somehow slapped a happy ending on it by making it a love story that goes into death,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that, by dying, it's a happy ending that he ends up with his wife again, which I found kind of like a cop-out.
No, I totally agree with you. Can we talk about how shitty Elysium is? That's heaven. It's a wheat field and an abandoned fort.
Yeah, that's where they're waiting for him. But I guess...
Dude, that's heaven? Are you kidding me?
Granted, does that mean that heaven is moving with the time period you're in? Like, that guy gets to heaven, he still doesn't have fucking internet?
So, that would be unbearable.
Why is there no internet in heaven?
Let's be realistic.
Just because it hasn't been invented yet? That's what they're going for here.
Is that the rule? You know what? I'm going to take that, actually segue into the quotes. All right, give me a quote you had that you want to real life, repurpose for real life.
See, I had an issue because I feel like Maximus quotes are off limits. And all of his he has a lot of good lines. But the only thing that I came up with, and it might be a bit off color here, is let's say that you would be... It's pretty situational, too. If you're a down-and-out Hollywood director and you can't get any fucking gigs, right? And you're just broke, so you take a gig shooting a porn. And you're at this scene, and you're trying to maintain your artistic integrity and your passion, and it's just a gangbang, right? Sloppy as fuck, just all over the place. And you see that the lady's had enough. She's ready to wrap it up. So to keep your dramatic flair, instead of yelling cut, you just look around at 30 guys and you go,
Senior Sword!
Yes, dude. I'll take that. Not that I'm not... Hopefully I'll never be down and out enough to be recording gangbangs. But that's not even... That's not impossible with the current career trajectory that I'm on.
Anything else? What else you got? Any other lines?
Okay, so... Like, when your friend, it's the end of the night, and your friend's like, oh, man, can you give me a ride home? And, you're being DD, and, he's being a hard ass. Or he's like, man, can we go to Wendy's or something? And then, it's 4 a.m., and you do the Wendy's drive-thru, and then you fucking give him a stupid spicy chicken burger. Then you could probably say,
Am I not merciful?
Okay, so the last one, this is a Maximus quote, obviously probably the most famous quote in the movie, and I'm sure a lot of frat boys have mistakenly tattooed this to their body thinking it was cool. The line is, the frat boy tattoo line is, what we do in life echoes in eternity. What are the chances?
Oh, God, you think people really have that tattooed?
You don't think some guy from Phi
pretty brutal.
Beta and Michigan has a what we do in life echoes in eternity tattoo like over his back, thinking that it's cool? It's gotta be.
How about a girl with "Are you not entertained" as a tramp stamp?
Oh my god, that would be incredible.
I like that.
Okay, so we were doing the minors, and we've mentioned this before, but like, so every movie has a tagline. So if you go to IMDb, there's like a tagline for every movie. The tagline for Gladiator, which sums the movie up in like 20 words, is, when a Roman general is betrayed and his family murdered by an emperor's corrupt son, he comes to Rome as a gladiator to seek revenge. So perfectly it captures the entire movie, the motivation, why the protagonist does what he does. So we're trying to do taglines for the minor characters. So can we do one for Commodus?
Yeah, I didn't think of any of those, so give me a minute to think. You go with yours first. Let me come up with something.
Okay, I put this one.
What do you got?
Insecure emperor spends entire movie trying to bone his sister while poorly governing the Roman Republic. Further, the idiot challenges the Michael Jordan of gladiators to a one-on-one match. That's what I thought.
How about if we just frame it as like his own romance story?
Yes! An emperor willing to sacrifice his entire empire for the love of a woman.
Imagine if they sold it like that and you went in and you're like, they didn't tell you it was his sister? That's the big twist at the end of the movie?
It's like The Sixth Sense, but really disgusting. So, and then the other one was, I did it for General Quintus. So, the sheathe your sword, backstabbing, pathetic general guy. Roman general changes sides to whoever is winning, predicting future Italian military in the 20th century.
It's basically a documentary.
Yeah, it's actually a Gladiator actually is based on a true story. That's all I got.
So, two other things. One thing is, you know who... I kept thinking, like, because I loved Maximus, I was like, who else could have pulled this off? What actor? I mean, Russell Crowe, and he kind of hit right in his prime there. I mean, he's younger than I even remember. Cause,
this is right before This is his peak. This is before Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, he wasn't that old. I mean, he was like mid-30s, and he fucking nailed it. I was like, who else could have possibly pulled that off? Because you need to be jacked. You need to be a good actor. You need to... I don't know. Can you think of anybody else who could have pulled the role?
You know what? I'm going to ask you something of somebody that was also killing it around the same time period, a couple years before. Nicolas Cage won Best Actor for Leaving Las Vegas in like 1995. And then he was in the trilogy known as Con Air, The Rock, and Face Off. What is more impressive, that run or Russell Crowe in Inside Job? The Insider, Gladiator, and A Beautiful Mind within like a 3-4 year span. Which span would you rather have? They both won Best Actor during those respective spans.
Yeah, but only one of Nick Cage's movies there hold up over time, right?
Come on! The Rock!
Come on. Me and you love The Rock. We love Con Air. Face Off, yeah. But no, you show that to somebody today, they're not going to be like, oh, that's a great movie. So
You know what?
why are you watching this?
I disagree with you so much that the next movie we have to do is The Rock.
Oh, I'm fully down to do The Rock. I watched on YouTube that somebody looped the I cannot give that order!
Yeah.
Stand down! And they just looped it for like 3.5 minutes, where it's just the two of them yelling at each other, looped. And I watched the whole fucking 3.5 minutes of the two of these guys just yelling at each other.
Stand down! Stand down! I cannot give that order!
So, look, I'm all for The Rock. I fucking love it. But, I don't know. I don't think that if you showed that to... If somebody who's like 20 years old watches that today, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, that's a great movie. I love it.
Well,
they're going to be like, you guys watched shitty movies in the 90s. That's what they're going to think.
Well, only one actor got to suck on Elizabeth Banks' boobs, so I'm giving it to him.
Well, I'll say this. I think that role was better than any of the ones that Russell Crowe did.
Like A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, so I think that Nick Cage had the better movie and the better performance out of it. But if you had to look back and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, if I had to watch all the movies, I'd actually rather watch all the Nick Cage ones also. But if you had to give 3 of those movies to somebody else and be like, here, and they've never seen any, like, watch these 3 really good movies, I think I'd hand them the Russell Crowe ones.
Yeah, that's true. There's much more range because the 3 Nick Cage action movies are literally just stupid action movies.
I thought you were going to say Nick Cage could have pulled off the role, but I can't imagine anybody else pulling off the role.
But you know what? You know who could do that role today? I think 2 actors could actually. It's Christian Bale and Tom Hardy.
Yes.
Christian and Tom Hardy, Bane from Batman, A Dark Knight. Tom Hardy absolutely could play that role.
I don't know if Tom Hardy's big enough.
Dude, Tom Hardy big as an actor or big physically? Because he's massive.
Physically, I've seen Warrior.
Yeah.
But, no, I mean just like...
Oh, yeah, as a name? Christian Bale.
As a name and as a presence. Christian Bale? Yeah.
Would nail
I
this
think you
role.
nailed it. Yeah, he could nail that role. Nail it, yeah. Okay. I like that. Good call.
So when they make the sequel with the mutant son from the incest marriage and Maximus comes back from the dead, it'll be Christian Bale.
Wait, you know what else happened in the movie that I was thinking about? In the final battle where they come into the jail and, like, slaughter everybody, they don't actually kill any of his boys, because all of his boys are still in the last scene.
They get freed at the end. Free my men.
Yeah. They're all still there. So basically the whole army came in to slaughter everybody and missed every top target.
They actually, I think a sequel for this movie got commissioned. I think a script was written and Maximus brought back from the dead. I'm not even kidding.
Basically, Maximus was drifting off into heaven, and he's like, what, a wheat field?
Yeah! He's send me back.